trip home today was the trip from hell.
Jazz, wanna go bye-bye?
I wanna go please. The look on your mom's face. How did you manage to do? Okay, so far, the trip home has been a fucking nightmare. I almost lost my wallet. Well, I did lose my wallet, but then found it. Then had a panic attack in the middle of the TSA thing. Wound up, I'm gonna have to file a complaint on one of the ladies. Yeah. She wanted to have my aide take Kiana through the metal detector. Well, you would think with a giant metal bar on her gear that they would think really anyway, their own policies say that whatever the handler is screened by, be it metal detector or pat down, the dog is screened by. Meaning, if you have to be hand pat down because you're in a wheelchair, that is how your dog is screened. If you go through the metal detector, the dog goes through the metal detector. They cannot separate your dog to send them through the metal detector when you have to be pat down. So, and I asked the lady, I said, may I have your name, please? Because according to the TSA hotline, that you can't separate the dog. And she's like, oh, well, if you say we can't, we won't. I'm like, no. According to your own policies, just the simple act of asking is not acceptable. She wouldn't even give me her name. I had to read her name tag. So yeah. Anyway, completely unacceptable. Anyway, yeah, so my day has been an epic nightmare. Anyway, later. Okay, so the trip home today was the trip from hell. Where do I want to start? So, the TSA agent, well, number one, because we rescheduled it, I wasn't able to do the TSA cares. But the TSA agent, the first one that I had contact with, was like, can your mom, I always assume she's my mom, I guess just because we have the same name, but she is, it just, either stick with mother or aide, don't bounce it back and forth, which they tend to do. Anyway, take the dog and go through the metal detector. Well, number one, her gear, as you guys know, has giant metal bars on it, so that's it defeats the purpose. But number two, their own policy says that service dogs will be scanned by the method of the handler. Meaning, if you can walk through the metal detector, they will be scanned by metal detector. If you have to be pat down, they will be pat down. So they cannot separate the dog to have them scanned by another means. So, back to that. So I'm like, no, the dog can't be separated. And I said, and by the way, according to the TSA hotline, that I basically told them that their own policies say, and their own policies say that the service dog can't be separated. And she's like, oh, well, if you say it can't be separated, we won't separate it. And I'm like, no, ma'am, your own policies say that asking that is against policy. So, and I didn't even get into by the same method, because that is pretty much what I just said, just in a different wording. So, anyway, we get through that hullabaloo. The lady who did mine and Kiana's pat downs were great. We get to the jetway, talk to the lady again, no problem. Yep. Told them I was gonna need help. Yep, no problem. They call for pre-boarding, and I'm actually looking at the lady announcing. She doesn't even put the mic down, and she immediately then calls for rows 1 to 6. I'm like, okay. So much for pre-boarding, considering you were the person who was just talking to me. Anyway, I get over there, and there's no assist team. I'm like, okay, well, their jetways aren't generally that steep anyway. I'll just push myself down it, instead of having mom push me and then have somebody help with the bags. Well, first she tells me I can't do that, which I shouldn't be allowed to do it, but anyway, then she is like, oh, well, you can leave your bags here, and we'll bring them. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not leaving my bags. I have my meds, my nebulizers, all that up there. I can't take that risk. And so then she shuts the boarding door, goes and talks to somebody, comes back, and it's like, fine, just push yourself. It's like, had they gone, well, the assist team is, at gate such and such or down the way helping someone, it'll be, a few minutes. That might have been one thing. This was a completely different scenario. Anyway, so we get there, and because of the other 10 people boarding, I'm now sitting there fighting with people to get on the plane. Now, maybe that wouldn't be a big deal for some people, but being in a wheelchair and unable to use the aisle chair, even if I normally used it, I have to have mom essentially drag me onto the plane. So, it was really irritating. And this is not normally how Alaska Air is. I mean, they're normally great. So, anyway, we get on the plane, we get settled. Mom goes back, takes the pieces of my chair off that come on the plane with us, gets it ready to be stowed, all that. Get on the plane, okay, I'm like, okay, no problem. And then I get overly paranoid because of all the problems. I literally actually asked the stewardess to please make sure that they had not forgotten my chair, which luckily they didn't, and it just, after all the problems, I was just massively paranoid. Anyway, so, and we were on the milk run, which is where they go from Anchorage to Cordova to Yakutat to Juneau. Basically, they call it that because it's the old milk delivery route. Anyway, so we get to Cordova, sit there for a while, take off, start, the way to Yakutat. Kiana starts acting like she needs to go to the bathroom. So I ask the stewardess, when we get to Yakutat, can my aide deplane, because they have stairs to deplane there. They don't have a jetway. So that we can take my service dog out to go to the bathroom. She said, let me call ahead and check, which is fine, call and make sure it's okay. She never got back with me. So when we landed, everyone else was off. They said, if you're going to deplane, make sure you have your boarding pass because you will have to go back through security. I asked another lady, another attendant, and she said no, that it was against TSA policy. Well, if they let other people off, the only thing I can think of is she was thinking that I meant and not go back through security. I mean, yeah, it would be nice if they just let us step out on the runway, but rules are rules, So the whole rest of the flight, not only was I paranoid that my dog was going to have an accident, my dog was miserable. I mean, seriously, people? So, anyway, so we land. I had to have a supervisor called. Then they walked me out, so we could get her to the bathroom while I was filing the complaint, which was super nice of them. Anyway, because, it was like a 4-hour flight, just flight time. Plus, it was like fly, wait, fly, wait, fly, wait. So, from the time we left the parking garage and went into the airport to the time we got into Juneau, it was like 5 hours. That's a long time for a large breed dog to hold it. Which, yes, she can do it, but, she shouldn't have had to. If I requested to take her out, I should have been allowed to. So, yeah, that was my day. Anyway, night, guys. I'm going to try to sleep. But, as riled as I am, as upset as I am, I may wind up digging into my stack of new movies. Who knows?